What is up, creatives? This is Tom. Welcome back to another video. I really hope you enjoyed that cereal commercial. This is sort of an extension of the cereal commercial that I originally shot. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. I basically wanted to try and recreate Daniel Schiffer's original cereal commercial that he shot here on YouTube. And basically, after posting that video, I talked about it briefly in my Getting Clients video. I basically had a cereal brand reach out to me, this cereal called Galaxy Bites. So they wanted a commercial done in a similar style to the one which was sort of like recreated from Daniel. However, I didn't want to, of course, just sort of copy it. So I tried to make it as different as possible, yet still feeling like a similar type of vibe to that original commercial. I thought it'd be fun today, instead of doing another behind the scenes, to sort of talk about the video that I shot. I shot it entirely on the Canon EOS R in a mixture between C-Log, 4K. So we're just going to talk about each of the different shots, and I will show you the edit inside After Effects. I actually edited this in Adobe After Effects. So like I said, I wanted to shoot this entire thing using my new Canon EOS R, as you can see. So this obviously shot in 60 frames a second or 50 frames a second. I tend to shoot in because I'm in Europe, and also 1080p and 4K. So there are a couple of shots I used in that were in 4K throughout this, and I'll highlight those as we go. But most of this commercial was actually shot entirely in 1080p. Luckily, the Canon EOS R shoots really good 1080p, so that sort of, you know, was an easy sort of decision for me. In terms of edit, I wouldn't normally edit entirely within After Effects, but because it was such a short project, this was always going to be between sort of 10 to 20 seconds, and it's likely that it would use some visual effects. So I actually decided to do the entire thing within After Effects. Normally I would use Final Cut Pro and then sort of export out the sections for After Effects, but like I said, I just wanted to do this within After Effects. So this first shot, I used these sort of horizontal cards using for the purple background, and we just sort of slid a Galaxy Bites box. These are my girlfriend's hands. These are my hands. She very kindly helped me with this project. So I sort of slid the box along the floor to her, and I've actually just, in order to sort of fill the frame, what I actually decided to do, instead of sort of messing around with like compositioning the rest of the frame to be purple, you can see within this pre-comp, this is just 3 sections of the same footage, and you've got one here, one here, one here, and they're just sort of masked and comped together, and with a bit of retiming, a bit of motion blur, that effect is really quite effective. And then there's just a little scale motion on here going from it large to it's small, and again that helps sell that part of the video. All right, so next shot, this is the sort of dropping of the cereal. This is my favorite shot in the entire piece. It's one which was originally inspired by a creator called Epic Light Media, who shot a fantastic cereal advert. Again, I'll have that one linked down below in the description as well. But the way this one worked is we literally just had a nice wide angle on the EOS R. This was in 50 frames a second, because it almost doesn't matter that this shot isn't tack sharp, and focus was set on the bowl, a nice sort of standard overhead rig, and we just dropped cereal from both angles. It literally is sort of as simple as it seems, and we didn't really mind too much that the cereal was going everywhere, whereas that was kind of the point. What I will talk about briefly is this transition. Now, sometimes you can get away with using these quite funky, quite elaborate transitions. This is using a transition called CC Jaws, and that's a built-in Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects plugin. And like literally, because the vibe of the cereal advert is quite sort of fun, fast-paced and funky, I had no problem actually using that sort of built-in transition. Obviously, you wouldn't do that if it was like you had actors and things like that on screen, but for this type of project, it worked really well. Okay, so there's a couple of little bit more sort of self-explanatory shots here. First of all, we have a shot of the cereal just sort of falling out of the packet, and that was sort of fairly simple, as I'm sure you can imagine. camera's just directly in front of the cereal box as it's sort of poured into a container below it. Next one, we have a close-up. So I was using the Canon 24-70mm f2.8 lens. I absolutely love this piece of glass, and zoomed right in at 70mm. And then this is obviously just a number of different shots. So we just sort of poured the cereal back into the packet and poured it over and over again into this bowl, and just got sort of a variety as many shots as possible. And that's really something to take away from this video, is just do sort of as many angles as you can, because you never know which ones you might want to use in the final edit. This one here is actually one of the shots that I filmed in 4K. I filmed this using the Sigma 18-35mm f 1.8. Now that is a super sharp lens. Like I said, I shot that in 4K, and because of the crop in 4K, there was no issue using it on the EOS R. And then again, in terms of the transitions, I've got a radial wipe on here. That's just basically like a clock wipe going from the serial shot to the box shot. And then I've got a spinning box shot where I just used a Lazy Susan, so a wooden Lazy Susan, and just span the cereal box on it. And again, just after a number of spins, the Galaxy Bytes logo lined up. So if we get this shot here, you get the Galaxy Bytes logo spinning into focus. That's actually not quite right, actually. So I actually put a time reverse on here. So I started we tried to spin it a number of times to get that Galaxy Bytes logo lining up. In the end, that didn't work. So what I actually did is reverse the shot. So you can see this little sort of highlight here. That means the shot has been reversed. So we started on the Galaxy Bytes logo and then I span it away. But when we reverse the shot, it actually looks like the Galaxy Bytes logo is spinning directly in and then stopping finally on that logo. Okay, another shot I really like here. I just wanted the bowl to be front and center frame. Again, we're close to like 70mm, so the sort of middle plane of the bowl is in focus, and then the milk is just, again, in 50 frames a second, is just being poured, and then there's just a simple keyframe here. As you can see, we're going from scale. You can see that the size of the box is increasing here, and like the milk is just being poured nice and smoothly, really, in just a nice circular fashion. And again, once with some sound design on there, that will really start feeling, you're actually there feeling that milk being poured into the cereal. And again, these last few shots on the edit are basically, again, fairly self-explanatory. We have a top-down shot where we are putting the spoon into the milk, and again, really you want to, in something like this, there's a narrative of the cereal being poured and then the milk going in and then the spoon going in and then the bowl being taken, to eat. So the spoon going in after the milk was the next logical step. So again, I shot this using the Sigma 18-35. The spoon goes in. We then have the shot of the spoon being pulled out of the cereal. And again, just those different angles, that different sort of creative shot really helps just sell the commercial and adds to the overall production quality. Instead of getting one shot of all top down of the spoon going in and pulling out, you have that sort of set up into multiple different layers, and then a different angle with the purple background where somebody is pulling the spoon out to eat. And then finally, we finish off the commercial with the bowl shot lower down this time so that we can get the logo wipe. And then as you can see, my girlfriend just pulls the bowl away, and then I've got a simple mask on this layer here, as you can see, just masking out that logo as it comes away from the bowl. And that is a very simple cereal commercial that took me for probably about 2 days to make, broken down in the edit. Like you can see, there is nothing crazy complicated. I could have probably done this in Final Cut Pro. I actually thought that I might have a little bit more intensive sort of visual effects to add, but in the end, I just sort of started it in After Effects and just finished it because it was easier than sort of migrating away. But hopefully you have found this an interesting breakdown. Let me know if you like this style of video or you just prefer it to be the sort of behind the scenes stuff or a mix of the two. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.